There is a route through southern Utah, often described as the most spectacular drive in America. Zion, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, Arches, Canyonlands, 5 national parks connected by highways across open desert. The red rock, the formations, the visual continuity all suggest one unified landscape. In reality, these parks represent 5 completely different geological systems, formed by different processes, operating on different timescales, revealed in completely different ways. The road connects them. The land does not. This is the story of what continuity hides. Zion, the landscape you enter, not observe. Zion National Park is defined by vertical enclosure. Massive Navajo sandstone walls rise 2,000, 4,000 feet on either side of the Virgin River Gorge. The canyon floor is often less than 100 feet wide. Standing at the bottom, you cannot see the rim on both sides simultaneously. The walls overhang. This creates a specific constraint. You do not observe Zion from a distance. You move through it, surrounded. The scale is intimate in the way that confinement creates intimacy. You are not looking at a landscape. You are inside one. Zion receives 5.3 million visitors annually. Most move through the main canyon via shuttle systems that control flow. The result feels crowded, but the crowds are concentrated. Just beyond the main canyon, into the Narrows, which requires wading through the Virgin River, or the East Side parks, visitor density drops dramatically. The park is not overpopulated. The main experience is concentrated. Bryce Canyon, the landscape defined by collapse. Bryce Canyon is not a canyon, it is a series of amphitheaters eroded into a plateau. Unlike Zion's vertical walls, Bryce's hoodoos are spires, the remnants of formation collapse. They range from 30 to 100 plus feet tall, packed densely into a 1,000-foot deep bowl. The formation process is rapid by geological standards. Average of 1 foot of surface erosion per 64 years. The process is almost entirely driven by freeze-thaw cycles. Water penetrates fractures, freezes 9% in Yalu, and shatters the rock. This repeats continuously at this elevation, 8,000, 9,000 feet, where freezing occurs 150 plus times per year. This means the hoodoos are temporary, actively eroding, being replaced continuously. What you see today will not exist in geological terms. In human terms, they appear permanent. In the park's terms, they are disappearing. This is not a finished landscape. It is a process in motion. Capitol Reef, the landscape that doesn't simplify. Capitol Reef is shaped by the Water Pocket Fold, a 100-mile-long monoclinal fold created by Laramide-era tectonic compression. Layers of rock tilt at angles up to 80 degrees from horizontal. The landscape wrinkles. Symmetry collapses. What appears level is not. This creates a fundamental problem. There is no single viewpoint that explains the structure. No rim where you can see the whole system. The fold extends beyond visibility. The depth of the tilting is not obvious from above. The scale requires movement through the terrain to understand. Capitol Reef is rarely cited as the most visually iconic park in the loop, not because it lacks visual drama, but because drama requires context. Zion's walls make sense immediately. Bryce's hoodoos are visually comprehensible. Capitol Reef requires sustained engagement to reveal its structure. Arches, the temporary formations. Arches National Park contains 2,092 documented natural arches, the highest concentration on Earth. Unlike Bryce's active erosion or Capitol Reef's structural wrinkle, arches exist in a specific formation stage, the hollow from inside outward phase. Water enters vertical cracks in entrada sandstone, freezes, expands, and breaks away fins of rock. Secondary erosion hollows the remaining fin from inside, creating a span. The formation process takes hundreds of thousands of years. Collapse, when it comes, takes seconds. Wall arch, documented since the 1970s, collapsed without warning on August 5, 2008. Landscape arch, the longest natural arch in North America, at 306 feet, shed an 11-foot slab from its underside in 1991. The trail beneath it has been closed since. Geologists estimate it could fall within decades. These are not monuments. They are events. The landscape is not static. It is unstable. Canyonlands, the scale that defeats observation. Canyonlands National Park is divided by two rivers, the Colorado and Green Rivers, into three districts that operate as separate parks. Islands in the Sky sits on a plateau. The Needles occupies a dense canyon system to the southeast. The Maze sprawls across remote terrain to the northwest. Moving from one district to another often requires leaving the park entirely and driving long distances to re-enter from a different direction. Traveling from Islands in the Sky to the Needles requires a 300-plus mile drive or a 2-3 day backpacking expedition with no marked trail. From above, the park appears continuous. From within, it is fractured. What you see from an overlook vast plateaus, canyon networks, the Colorado River cutting through all of it represents a fragment. The majority of the park lies beyond access, not invisible but unreachable within practical constraints. This is where the loop concept finally breaks. Scale becomes inaccessible. Why the loop fails? The Scenic Loop is visually continuous red rock, desert light, open sky. But geological continuity is absent. 5 parks, 5 different formation processes, 5 different systems of access and understanding. But what makes this route significant is not the similarity between these parks. It is the difference. Each park represents a separate geological process. Each operates independently. Each reveals itself in a different way, requiring a different perspective to understand. The road suggests a single story. The land does not. Understanding the loop means accepting that continuity is visual, not geological. The parks exist in sequence, not in system. Closing CTA. If this changed how you see the Scenic Loop, the guide linked in the description goes further. It covers the specific elevation and formation details that explain why each park looks different despite the red rock continuity, the backcountry routes in Zion and Canyonlands that reveal complexity the main roads miss, and the seasonal timing that puts you at each park during optimal conditions. Just click the link below to get started. What visual comes from folding and tilting? Arches comes from salt layer movement and secondary hollowing. Canyonlands comes from river incision at different rates across structurally distinct districts. These processes do not interact. They do not blend. A visitor driving from park to park does not witness these processes. They witness the results and mistake similarity of appearance for similarity of origin. But that acceptance requires understanding what distinguishes each park from the others, not by appearance, but by process. Zion's canyon walls are high because one river, concentrated in one location, erodes vertically over millions of years. Bryce's hoodoos are impermanent because freeze-thaw cycles in a specific elevation range, 8,000, 9,000, destabilize formations continuously. Capitol Reef cannot be simplified because the water pocket fold creates structural complexity that no single viewpoint can resolve. Arches is unstable because the same processes that create arches also destroy them. The architecture is temporary. Canyonlands is inaccessible because scale exceeds the logistical capacity of a single-day visit.